Not the red button.
All right, for the plaintiff, Ms. Bender. For the defense, Ms. Banks. This is the July 2014 CSR, 200 words per minute. Ms. Bender is beginning in examination. You guys ready? Here we go. Was there anything else that you noticed on the table?
There were things all over the place. On the table, there was an empty bottle. I think it was a Sprite bottle that they would use to smoke some sort of a drug.
Objection, lacks foundation.
Sir, do you have any?
Excuse me, I need a rule on the objection.
I am sorry, Your Honor.
All right, everything after empty bottle will go out as lacking foundation. Ask your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Proceed.
Were you able to determine what in that room belonged to the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
What did belong to the defendant?
Objection, foundation.
Sustained.
How were you able to determine what belonged to the defendant?
I asked her what belonged to her.
And what did she respond?
She pointed to a backpack.
Now, of all the items that were all over the room, she pointed to a backpack?
Correct.
Okay, and where was this backpack located?
On the bathroom counter.
Did you simply return the backpack to her and let her leave?
No.
What did you do?
I questioned her if that was her backpack. She admitted it was. I wanted to confirm it was hers by having her identify something inside.
Okay, what happened when you went over to the backpack?
The front pocket was slightly open. I looked inside, and there was a plastic bag with smaller bags inside. There was also a bag of a white substance and some pills.
What did you do once you saw these items?
I immediately turned to the defendant and asked if it was hers. She said no.
But she had just told you that the backpack was hers, correct?
Objection, counsel is testifying.
That objection is overruled.
You may answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. So when you initially showed her the white substance, she explained it wasn't hers, but she had just told you the backpack was hers. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
Now, what did you do once you found these items in the backpack?
At that point, I requested Buena Park Police to be called over the radio.
Okay, and sir, in your capacity as the manager of security, do you wear a uniform every day or do you dress much like you are now?
A casual look like I am today.
You were not armed during your shift as manager?
No.
You were not a sworn peace officer?
No.
And did you detain the defendant while you waited for the police department to arrive?
After we called the police, I did. I told her we were waiting for the police.
Nothing further at this time.
Counsel, you may begin.
Your Honor, I was hoping we could address an issue from this morning before I begin.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to send you on a break at this time. Don't discuss the case. Please return in 20 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, we're now outside the presence of the jury. There was a question regarding a video. Let's proceed. Ms. Bender, you may inquire.
Mr. Grayson, during the break, we talked about the hotel having a surveillance video in place.
Yes, ma'am.
And something you also mentioned was that, in fact, there was a video with the defendant on it. Is that correct?
Correct.
What is depicted in that tape?
Her coming out of the elevator with the backpack on.
And this is the same backpack that you found in the room?
Yes.
This is the same backpack where you found the narcotics and all of the items that you have described during your previous testimony?
Yes.
And this video was taken at the same time as this event that we are discussing on February 14th, 2014?
Yes.
How are those tapes maintained?
They are at the hotel main office. The system is there, and they hold it for a couple months.
At this point, do you know if that video is still available?
No, I don't know.
But you saw it, and you recognize the person who was depicted in the security tape as the defendant who is here today?
Yes.
Nothing further at this time.
You may examine, counsel.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Grayson, what was the date and time on this surveillance video?
I'll ask the questions.
It was the same day. I'm not sure of the time.
Was it before or after contact with the security?
After.
All right, so my understanding is security contacted the occupants of the room and some people fled, right?
Yes.
My client was the only one left, so she was taken down to the hotel front lobby.
Yes.
And then somebody came and took care of the bill, but then she asked you if she could return back to the room. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you went back up there with her and ultimately wound up seeing what you believed to be the controlled substance in the backpack.
Yes.
And then she was detained pending the police arriving.
Yes.
So at what point after all this occurred was she seen on a video with the backpack?
After the whole call happened, we were trying to identify the people who left the hotel. That's why we were looking at video to have a description of the suspects.
I am really confused about the time frame that we are talking about.
Well, I will try to explain it.
Let me just ask you a question and we can go from there.
All right.
Was this after my client had been arrested when you reviewed the surveillance video?
Yes.
But the tape was showing something that happened before you ever contacted the people who rented the room. Is that right?
Yes.
Did your manager, Reset on 40, or anyone from the hotel contact the occupants in that room in the early morning hours on Valentine's Day?
I believe there was one contact early in the morning. There was a second call, and that's when I got called in. It was early, probably 7:30 or somewhere around then. That's when I got called.
And so it is your understanding the time period shown on the tape when you saw my client coming off the elevator with the backpack.
She was wearing it, not just carrying it.
Okay, but that was sometime before 7 o'clock in the morning on February 14th.
I don't remember the time it said on the video. All I remember is looking at it after she was arrested.
Now, what caused you to review the video?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
We knew the time frame when they checked in, I believe, and that's how we were checking to get a description of them for the police.
Are you speaking of the people who rented the room or just the defendant?
We were looking for the couple who originally rented the room. That's when I saw the defendant coming off the elevator with them.
When was it that they checked in?
I don't remember the exact time they checked in. The time when they all came off the elevator was about 8 in the morning.
Was the tape you were referring to or reviewing taken from the morning of the arrest of my client?
No, it was before.
How long prior to the arrest?
I believe they had been there for a couple days before the smoking violation.
Is it your understanding she was arrested on the same day as someone reported the smoking violation?
That's correct.
I would assume that once a guest is registered, they can come and go to their room as they please?
Of course.
There would be no reason to stop at the front desk, is that correct?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Do you know how many keys were issued for that room?
I wouldn't have any way to verify that.
What is your standard practice when somebody registers for a room?
We usually ask how many keys they will need for their stay.
Do guests ever ask for additional keys?
Sure, sometimes people will lose their key or leave it in the room and they need to get another one.
Do you monitor how many total keys are given for any one room?
Not usually, no.
How are you so positive that the backpack that you see in the video is the same exact backpack that you saw in the room that morning?
It was a green backpack and she was wearing it. Obviously, her hairstyle is pretty distinct.
No, I understand that she is very distinct, but my question is about the backpack.
Okay.
What about the backpack did you observe in the video that made it so significant to you?
It is the only green backpack that I saw.
In the room that day?
Yeah.
But was there anything distinctive about the backpack that she was wearing in the video?
Objection, asked and answered.
Well, it has been, but I will let him answer it so we can wrap this up.
What was the question?
There was nothing special about the backpack you remember from the video that allows you to say it definitely is the one in the room?
No, it just looked like a green backpack.
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Did you ever turn that video over to the police department?
I don't believe we did.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Grayson. Counsel, I want to go ahead and bring the jury back in since they have been waiting a while.
Will you be ruling on my previous objection now?
Let's finish up today. I will rule in the morning. We will address the motion in the morning after I research some of the cases you both recently cited.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The jury is now back with us. Ms. Bender, any further questions?
One last area, Your Honor.
All right.
Mr. Grayson, you told me when you entered the room you were concerned about officer safety. Is that correct?
Correct.
And at that point, you were alone with the defendant?
No, there was a security officer there also.
Okay, at that point, did you stop and do a complete inventory search of the room before the police arrived?
No.
When you went into that room, you asked the defendant to identify what property was hers. Is that correct?
Yes.
And she told you about the purse inside the backpack, right?
Yes.
But she told you about the purse inside the backpack after she pointed at the backpack and said it was hers. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I object to the form of the question as leading.
Objection is sustained as to the last question.
What was the very first thing that the defendant told you about the backpack?
That it was hers.
Pointed at it.
Correct.
Did she tell you about some of her belongings that you could find inside the backpack to identify it was hers?
Yes, she said there was a purse inside, that her purse was inside.
And her claim of ownership of this backpack didn't change until you confronted her with what you discovered. Isn't that correct?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
When did her claim of ownership change?
When I discovered the bag of white substance, then I turned around to her and she said, "That's not mine."
Did she say anything else?
No.
Now, once your security officers contacted the defendant in the room and saw what they thought was contraband, was the defendant given time to pack up her things?
No.
Was she simply escorted down to the front desk where you met her?
I wasn't there in the room, but she was escorted downstairs.
And what's your hotel policy once contraband is found in a room?
Everything stays in the room until the police arrive.
Nothing further.
You may examine.
Thank you, Your Honor.